I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-minute convos where I help you create a brand of your own unique, real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good night, John Di Lemme. How are you going on this wonderful, beautiful night?
You're doing outstanding. Looking forward to dropping some serious wisdom to your listeners.
Oh, wonderful. Tell us what part of the world you are in first, please, John.
We are in beautiful West Palm Beach, Florida, but you'll hear my accent because I was born and raised in New York. As we always say, you sound like who you're around. Like you're from Trinidad, so you sound like the Trinidadian champions, right?
Well, champion is definitely my word, at least so I thought, until I listened to your podcast, realized that in New York's, well, probably Florida, I'm guessing there's a lot of champions as well. In fact, the world, right? In fact, before we even let the cat out of the bag, John, you please do tell us which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time.
I believe when you reached out to me was the ability for me to communicate and teach people to build their belief in themselves, to then build their belief in their business. It's all about belief. Belief is an intangible asset that we must build, and we're all born champions. You know, my second book I wrote was titled Champions Are Born, Losers Are Made. Every one of you listening around the world is born a champion. Don't believe the lie of others. You're all born a champion with unlimited potential.
So where did that story start, and who did you learn that you are a champion from?
Well, I learned it very quick. I know this is 12 minutes. It could take me 24 hours to tell the story. But very quickly, I was born and raised in New York from a very large Italian family. You can tell by my last name, Di Lemme. And at the age of 4, everyone started to notice. Everyone took notice. And I always teach note takers are history makers, guys. Make sure you have notes when you're listening to all of the interviews that are being done for you here. And I want everyone to write down their birthday, because that day you were born, I was born November 5th, 1965. And in 1969, coming from a very large family, we had a lot of family get-togethers and meals and dinners and parties and celebrations. And they started to notice. They took notice. They started to be aware that I wasn't speaking. They thought I was deaf. They took me to the hospital in 1969. I still remember as if it was a second ago. They put these big earmuffs on me, and every time I heard a whistling sound, I had to tap on a desk to let the doctor know that I could hear. Came out, said to my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Di Lemme, we believe, keyword believe, we believe your son has a speech impediment. His hearing is perfect. To this day, my hearing is perfect. I was diagnosed as a stammerer. I went to 14 years of speech class.
Wow.
And I had braces in my mouth for 7 years. When people see me, you know, I've spoken all around the world. I've spoken to 20 countries, all around America for close to 20 years teaching and speaking. So where it came from is I see too many people allowing a label on them. You know, I call you angel, right? Because you're an angel changing people's lives by getting wisdom into them. And I believe today, someone has to hear they're born a champion. And I always knew there was greatness in me, but I was labeled by society. So through this whole process, I believe all of you need those words of encouragement. And inside the word encourage is courage. It takes courage to speak greatness to someone, especially in business, entrepreneur, business owner. You got to start to believe in yourself before your clients will believe in you. So that's an abridged version of, I believe everyone's born a champion. Bar none. Everyone is born. Look at your birthday. Your numbers are already in. Your birthday signifies you were chosen for greatness. Bar none.
Well, John, tell us how and why will you continue to repeat the skill of spreading the values of telling others that they are champions?
Because I believe we live in a world right now where I believe nice people deserve to finish first. You know, the old adage is nice people finish last, because nice people have great hearts and nasty people manipulate them and take advantage of them. And through my journey, you know, I am 52 years young now. I started teaching and speaking close to 18 years ago. I've authored 20 plus books. I've spoken in every state in America, 20 countries around the world, and everywhere I go, every time I share my story, and then I get into my marketing teachings, but everybody comes up to me and goes, it's amazing how you conquered stammering and stuttering, because everybody has a fear. Fear is an invisible blocker. Fear and faith are exactly the same. They're attitudes of expectancy, and they're invisible. So the reason why I do what I do is because I love people. I know my calling, and I love bringing people to their next level in life in order so they can have an influence in others. And all of us should celebrate our birthday. We're born champions, bar none. Greatest times ever.
Love it. Tell us one other thing that you've done, John, consistently over the last 3 years.
Over the last 3 years, I could say over the last 24 years, I do 2 to 3 hours a day of self-development. There's a battle for our mind right now. You know, the name of my company is Di Lemme Development Group. You know, in this world of self-help and positive thinking and self-improvement, I talk about development. You take some of the wealthiest people in the world. Over 60 to 70% of all the billionaires in Forbes magazine are real estate developers. They take a piece of land that already exists and they develop it. And I believe when we develop our mind, our number one asset is our mind. And every day I schedule in the morning, I call it morning miracle preparation. Every morning I prepare by preparing my mind, getting it ready, getting it rejuvenated, getting it refreshed, and learning something new. See, when you keep learning, you keep winning. See, Apple keeps learning. Google keeps learning. BlackBerry stopped learning. Amazon keeps learning. You know, all these big companies, Sports Authority, Toys R Us, H.H. Gregg, Macy's, Radio Shack, Blockbuster, they stop learning. They're out of business. So I do that every day. All of you listening, you want to crush it in life, develop your mind. Your gifts and abilities are already in you.
How does it make you feel after you run through the first 3 hours of your day, the miracle morning? How does that make you feel?
Tremendous. Greatest day ever. Today is day one. You know, Jeff Bezos has the same attitude I have. Today is day one. You see, your future is a canvas that's yet to be painted. And every day, the actions we take today, you know, one of my infamous quotes I've written is decision plus action equals results. Today is just a result. Great or bad, it's a result. And if we reverse engineer and just unpack the result, because everything's a matter of choices. The choices we make today show up tomorrow. So I feel phenomenal. And with all the technology and all the Skype and all the smartphones and all that stuff, our mind is not learning. It's trying to just respond versus learn. So I feel phenomenal. I tell everybody, you want to have a great day? Prepare your morning. You want to have a great meal? The chef prepares every day for a great meal.
John, where's the best place for someone to connect with you who resonates with everything you're seeing right now?
I always talk about the world famous Google resume. You guys can put my name in Google. It comes up. Everything comes up. And it's very important too, guys, to check people out. You know, I always tell people Google is phenomenal. My main website is giantgoals.com. See, I specialize in transforming people who have a desire to achieve goals. That's why my main website is www.giantgoals.com, giantgoals.com. Or a little marketing tip here. I've done many interviews in my career, and people always ask me, how can they find me? So I have a website. You're going to love this from a marketing perspective. You go to find, FIND, JOHND, findjohnd.com.
And good idea.
and that goes out to giantgoals.com.
Oh, love it. All right. You also have a podcast, just to do a quick plug there. Definitely one of the ways we connected, listening to the podcast as well, right? Let's definitely point people to motivation plus marketing as well.
Yes.
Which is amazing stuff going on there. But John, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. John, what is your earliest childhood memory?
My earliest childhood memory is sitting in a hospital, remembering that doctor walking in, and I knew I heard perfect.
Wow.
And I remember the doctor looking at me, and I was a very young man, 4 years of age. I remember him saying to me, looking at my parents, and I'm blessed that my parents are alive. My parents are in their late 80s. They're alive. I remember looking at me and even hear me stammer there. I remember that because at that point, my life was decided by someone else. And I said to myself, and that desire laid in me for close to 20 years. I got introduced to self-development at 24. And I have not put down, activated my mind since then. So I remember that. And I believe many of you can use some challenging situations in your life to make them great situations. You know, inside the word challenge is change. So we have to make a decision to really go all out and change and get to the next level.
But Jen, can I offer an interpretation to the thought picture you created in my mind with that memory?
Sure.
Now, this memory, again, is the memory where you were wheeled in, if you would, to check your ears out, right? Because they noticed you were not hearing. Well, you were not speaking, my apologies, yeah?
Yeah, yes, I was not speaking. I was
Okay.
very quiet.
Wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, I love the idea of what happens when one listens within and the song that one can hear. Meaning, when you put on headsets, all of a sudden, hearing yourself is a lot easier. Have you ever had that experience where
Sure.
so you zone in to yourself? And I just love the connection of that. Even your artwork, right, with the headsets being on the mic for your motivation plus marketing, artwork on your podcast. But I just love the idea of when the headset is put on and how one tends to hear himself more and the value that gives, directly connecting it to the personal development aspect of what you have done, by understanding that you truly are a champion from deep within, and now helping others understand that they too are champions from deep within.
Oh, absolutely. That's why we have to control what we listen to. We have to make sure that we're creating the success accent, that we're allowing the words in us to be able to create the success attitude and success results. Because just like you have a very distinct accent, I have a very distinct accent from New York, and you have a very distinct accent from Trinidad. Because during your years of nurturing and growing, there were people speaking over your life, going into your ears, and then because your mouth obeys your heart and your ears. Your mouth is just the fruit of the root of what you listen to, and the fruit only obeys the root. That's another whole podcast in and of itself. But that's the process.
But John, if we fast forward to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
That's a great question. I remember I don't remember my favorite song back then because I went to speech class all the time, and because I know you sent me that question. I was not that much into music. I would go to school. I was a straight A student. I go to speech class. I was not that much into music back then.
It's cool. You're not the first. I'm sure you won't be the last. But John, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there is a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to go pretty quickly here, wrap it up in 12. John, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Oh, the way I do my business and my life, all my students, I look at them. I just did a little class with them earlier today about really creating a legacy. I talk about a legacy for generations to come. I believe all my students that I'm mentoring and their families and their children, their grandchildren, I believe we're creating billions of lives to be changed. I believe that's so important.
Are you married?
Yes, I am.
Do you have children?
No children.
Do you believe in God?
Absolutely, 1,000%.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Oh yeah, you must have an inner circle, bar none. You must keep your inner circle very close. You must allow them, because whoever you allow in your inner circle, you're allowing into your life and you're allowing into your future.
Do you watch TV, John, for more than 3 hours a day?
No, I don't watch any TVs. TV should be television.
What about screen time? The phone and the computer, is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
Mine's less than 8. I'm very structured in my schedule. I don't. To me, there's two assets you own: your time and your mind, and they're the most valuable asset you have. And all your assets in your life, and with tangible assets, things that have tangible value, is a result of your intangible assets you maximize, your time and your mind. I teach all my students the value of time at $10,000 an hour. To stop wasting time. And busy work is not productive work. A lot of people are active, but they don't accomplish a lot. So it's about having an accomplishment attitude.
John, if you had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents who you are, what would you say that is?
Champions are born, losers are made, and faith doesn't make sense. That's why it makes miracles. You are born a champion, and faith means unquestioning belief. Once you step out in faith, it doesn't make sense, but it makes miracles. We try to make sense out of a miracle, we procrastinate. Procrastination is the enemy. It is the venom of success, because you're overthinking what you know you should do. Then it creates depression, it creates anxiety. Versus step out in faith, get around the right people, take action, commit long-term, change your life to change other people's lives.
I love it. John, this has been a great pleasure, my friend. Thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you, young man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute, but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition the signs and symptoms and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.